Shayden and I will both introduce our panelists. So first of all, a warm welcome to Samri Pragyaji. She's a senior disciple of Acharya Mahashramniji and spiritual head of Jain Vishwa Bharati and the Jain World Peace Centre in London.
We have then Malini Shah. She is a receptionist at a GP surgery. She comes from a small town in Kenya and moved to the UK and has been very active within Young Jains, Sri Chandna Vidyapith, and the Oshwal Association. We also have Varun Mehta, an active member of Srimad Rajendra Mission Dharampur, London Youth Group. He's completed his bachelor's degree in aviation technology, and he went on further and obtained a flying license, and is now working in the field of green energy. And our panel chair is Dr. Amit Mackay. He's a consultant cardiologist and R&D director of the Royal Free London NHS Trust, a Harvard scholar, a fellow of the Royal College of Physicians, and he's a Jain and has a holistic approach to health and well-being. So over to Amit and to continue with the panel, please.
Thank you so much. Testing. Don't know if this might not be on, but we might not need it. Thanks so much. Ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to take you on a journey. Now, many of you have traveled abroad. Many of you have already done fasting. Many of you are Jain experts, scholars, visitors to many places inside and outside. But today, and this analogy comes from Malini, we're going to take you on a flight to your inner self of fasting peace. Your inner self of fasting peace. And fasting isn't just about restriction from food. It is about restriction from distraction. It is about focusing on your inside. Think about this. A bear can go 3 months without food or water. An alligator can go a year without eating. A camel can go thousands of miles without needing to eat. A penguin sits on her eggs, starving until they are hatched. Whether it is adaptation or freeing an entire country through fasting, as Gandhi, Mandela, many have done. Even in the Bible, Moses and Jesus took prolonged fasts. We may use fasting to get to a spiritual level of enlightenment or reach our ancestors, because the ketone body metabolism focuses the mind because it's a near-death experience. But really, the Jain fast is something different. It's saying, let's connect to the inside. Let me realize my soul. That is what is unique about the Jain practice of fasting. It isn't about strictness, it's about an acceptance. It isn't about a force, it's about energy. And with my panel today, I'm so blessed that you're going to hear 3 tense stories introducing the main flight entertainment, the presentation of Mother Bhagwan's fasting. Then we're going to go to the pre-descent check of fasting from Varun, who's going to tell you about his 30 days that he almost spilled into accidentally, and the beauty of it for his guru. And then Malini is going to tell you about exactly this Versitap breaking of fast, because she's done a Versitap. So this is a really special day for her, because this was 1 year last year exactly to this point that she broke her 1 year fasting. And so you're going to hear all of these, and we're going to start with Shramniji Pratibhaji. She's going to tell you about the different aspects of Jain fasting and Mahavir fasting. Please put your seatbelts on, the pre-checks are done, and enjoy the journey, and there will be time for interaction. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Amit.
आई प्रथमाप्त समाप्त समक्रिय नाभितनुद्भव भुवनपते वृषभ स्वामिन् अंतर्यामिन् देहि निजाश्रय ममितमते. I bow down to Adinath Bhagavan. Today is Akshay Tritiya, so venerating Adinath Bhagavan Rishabh, and with this veneration, I'm moving this journey ahead. Adinath Bhagavan, his journey was unplanned journey, and he went every day for Gochari to break his fast. But unfortunately or fortunately, he couldn't get. And today, around the world, in India and diaspora, nearly 10,000 Varsitaps. So this journey, yesterday I mentioned in my Food for Fasting panel that this journey is journey for soul, but we are here, we can see a paradox that do we need food, or it is our greed, or it is our need? What is there? So we have to see through these slides and through my talk the soteriological purpose of fasting, which is why we start this journey, to annihilate karma, to gain peace, or to make your body slim and trim, might sometime, and sometime some psychological aspects, or sometime there is some social pressures. Oh, he did Maskaman, one Athai, one Varshitap, I must do. Or sometimes families motivate. Oh, your friend did, why not you? So in fasting, not only the soteriological purpose, not only purification, but there are many, many aspects. And also, sometimes families want to show their pomp and show. That is also one interesting factor in fasting. So I would like to move like tap, tapasya, and also this is again related to the main 9 or 7 elements. So tapasa nirjaracha. Nirjara means shedding of the karma, making your karmic body thin. And when there is nirjara, but the door is open, wind is blowing, storm is there, we are in the midst of this world. So all the windows and doors are open, then karmic dust is always there. At your workplace, at your family, with your spouse, with your kids. There is arguments, there are something, and we accumulate that type of dust, which is invisible. That karmic dust is coming through the ashrava, the doorway of the karma. And for that, we need a stoppage, and that is somewhere. So if only nirjara and the door is open, then might our work is half done. So we need some stoppage. We need some checks on our journey. So in this journey, I would like to tell the brief history as Adinath's day-to-day Akshay Tritiya, and that was 13 months continuous without water and without food, which is again modified for our own purpose. So 1 day food, 1 day fast. This is adaptation. And again we move. The many acharyas, many sadhu sadhvis, many sravkas, they did long fasting. Even today, when we see some sadhvis, Mohan Malaji, 200 days fast. And then Acharya Hansabhanuji is 300 days fast. So these fast, long fast, but some specific fast. And today I think ladies will be very happy because I have some ornamental fast. They love. So that fast I would like to show you. Before that, Ratnavali Tap. Ratnavali Tap means a necklace of gold. And always attracting to ladies, gold, diamond, jewelry, all these things. So these fasting are documented in Jain canons, Antagad Dasao. And there, not only the ordinary women, but the queens of King Shrenik. He was the ardent disciple of Bhagavan Mahavir. And these queens, they became nuns. Kali, Mahakali, Sukali, Krishna, Sukrishna, like this, their names. And so this Ratnavali Tap. So it is 5 years long. It's not 1 day or 1 month. It's 5 years, 2 months, and 28 days long. And during this time, the breaking of fast means Parana days, 1 year, 3 months, and 22 days. And if you go closer and if you see, like 1 day fast, 1 Parna, 2 day fast, 1 Parna, 3 days fast, 1 Parna, then like this, it is mapped nicely and automatically it is artistically became a golden necklace. Then second one is, first is Kanakavali, Ratnavali, second is Kanakavali. So this is golden necklace, and in golden necklace again 4 division of it, and in again 5 years, 9 months, and 18 days fasting. And the Parana days, 1 year, 5 months, and 12 days. So this type of pattern really making us a kind of mind-blowing. Is it possible for one or not? But it was, and the history, and even today, many, not many, but few monks and nuns in Jain tradition, they do this fasting. Then Muktavali. Muktavali tap is also bit small. Mukta means pearl. So a necklace of pearl. So in this tapasya, 3 years and 10 months. And the breaking of the fast means Parna days, 11 months and 15 days. So here it is going ascending and descending order, and like making it 1 day, then Parna, 2 days, then Parna, then 3 days. So improving or making it more and more dense fasting. Then there is Laghu Sarvato Bhadra. So there are many pratimas, and specifically the Dasao Sutra. In Dasa Sutra, there are some fasting mentioned, and that fasting has this whole prescription. If you go to the Ayurveda, if you go to Dr. Bakhai, then he say, yes, you can eat light food, but everything. What do you mean by everything? But if you go to the Ayurvedic doctor, then he says, don't eat fried, don't eat this, don't eat that. So a full prescription before medication. So here, Laghu Sarvato Bhadra, there is some atapana involved, means meditation in the sun heat, and some swadhyay involved, some jap involved, and some tap involved. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2. So like this, a kind of a puzzle, but it is moving back and forth. So this is small. Laghu means small. Sarvato bhadra. Creating bhadra means mangal, auspiciousness to your soul, inside and around your body. You can get positive vibes, and that's why it is known as Laghu Sarvato Bhadra. So total days of fasting, 75 days and 25 days of Parana. Then Mahasarvato Bhadra, it bit more, and here total 196 days fasting and 49 days of Parana. So this is again mapped nicely, beautifully, but it is bigger than the first one. And the third one is Bhadrotar. Recently, one sadhvi, one of our friends, she did this tapasya, and I asked, like, if after 5 days, if you want to eat, is it possible to eat fully and next day again you have to do 5 days or 4 days fasting? She says, like, it is all your mind programming. So mind is important in the fasting. So she said, yes, if you do after 4, then next day 5, then your mind is prepared. So this is Bhadrotar, means extra welfare penance, welfare of the soul. So again, I would like to move. Like, these are the tapasya of many monks and nuns. Even in Avashyak Niryukti, Bhagavan Mahavir himself did so many tapasya. So if we count like 12 and half year of his sadhana, spiritual practice, before Keval Gyan, before enlightenment, and that tapasya is like 2 days tapasya 12 times, 3 days tapasya 219 times, and if you see, if you come, then highest 6 months fasting. If you all remember the story of Chandan Bala, and that story has its own impact every time when we see this story on the stage, we all in the tears. Why? Because there is Abhigrah. Abhigrah is also a fasting, and in that fasting, you pre-decide, okay, if I get this, if I get this. So Mahavira took Abhigrah, and in this Abhigrah, he had set it 13 rules for himself. I can break fast when there is a princess, and princess tied with the chains, and princess head is shaved. Princess had the fast of 3 days, so like so hard. And such Abhigrah, Mahavir was roaming. He didn't do like us, okay, for 6 months I'm not going to eat. No, every day is moving, is roaming in the city of Kosambi and to get some food. But Abhigrah was not fulfilled. And that Abhigrah, lively we can see, not at the hardest type of Abhigrah as Mahavira did, but even today, the Digambar monks, if they came out for their arms round, they keep their hand here and for the Abhigrah. And similarly, so Mahavira did this fasting, and only like in these 12 and a half years, hardly he ate 1 year and 3 months and 15 days. This type of his eating days, so which are really, really mind-moving tapasya of Bhagavan Mahavir. Bhagavan Mahavir did Bhadra Pratima, Mahabhadra Pratima, Sarvato Bhadra Pratima. And these pratimas are fully side by side meditation and penance. No other activities. like we monks and nuns, sitting in the panel, doing different programs, and this program, Vihar, and so many other activities. But Mahavira's activity, meditation and penance. So, Bhagavan Mahavir's tapasya was really important and a kind of lighthouse for all Jain community. And today, sometime we can see still this motion is very, very live. Everybody wants to do some or other type of fasting. And now, in our panel, when we see a medical person is there, then he tried to interpret in his own way. But before I move ahead, I would like to hand over the process of our journey, how to move forward to Varun. Like, this is all canonical. This is all the area of our history, rich history. But how we can move forward now and on this day, and for that we need some modern and like day-to-day's own experience, which are also rest. So now I would like to hand over to Varun.
Thank you so much, Ramniji. Thank you. So I'm going to talk to you guys about a fast that I did, 30 days, known as Mas Kaman. It kind of came about quite randomly. I'm just going to talk you through my story, basically. So if you guys wanted to join me on this journey, you can close your eyes and kind of feel the journey with me. So thank you. As a child, I never really understood fasting. My brother used to fast. He's 5 years older than me. My dad used to fast quite a lot. My mum struggled a little bit with fasting. Everyone has different sorts of fasts that they do. But I always wanted to attempt it because I saw that my brother and my dad were doing it. As a child, obviously, I didn't know what the meaning was. Shramniji very beautifully explained some of the meanings behind fasting. But being a kid, that was all way over my head, so to speak. So I always tried, but on day 2 or something, I'd throw up. I couldn't really continue. I'd get what's known as acidity in your stomach. So it wasn't something, but I never gave up. Fast forward a few years, and I managed to actually do 8 fasts. It was in stages. First, I did 3 1 year, and I always used to attempt these during Parushan, which is the holy festival that goes on for 8 days, where you seek forgiveness from everyone and everything that you've done for the last year. Again, fast forward a few more years, and I met my Gurudev, so Rakesh Ji, and listening to him, learning from him, listening to his discourses, I understood what fasting really meant. I started to understand the reasons behind fasting, and that kind of motivated me to do a little bit more. Again, I only used to do this during Parushan. It wasn't like I'd fast all the time. And yeah, kind of went forward from there. It was now 2016, his 50th birth anniversary of this body, and I really wanted to offer something. That offering thought didn't initially occur. It was Parushan that year in August, September-ish. And I started on day 1 of Parushan just thinking, okay, let me do 1 and let me take each day as it comes. I was working at that time, flying to different places, working in the aviation industry, so I traveled quite a lot throughout Europe. And yeah, I decided mentally that in my head, if any of this was going to affect my flying, if any of this was going to affect my job, I was going to simply stop. It's not worth putting others at risk. It's also not worth putting myself at risk, especially carrying out a job. You have duties, you have responsibilities. And during the same time, I was listening to my Gurudev's satsangs, and something he said really stuck out to me. His words were, "You're a soul, and you have to play your role perfectly." And there was a very nice difference between the two. So he told us that I am a soul. I obviously have no experience of that, but he also said I need to play my role perfectly. And my role at that time when I was flying was to do that. As a brother was to do X, Y, Z for my sister. As a son was to do whatever I needed for my parents. And I needed to make sure all of that was perfect. So that's why I decided I'm just going to continue take each day as it comes and go forward. Day 3 or 4, I actually ended up speaking to one of my friends who also was fasting, and I joked around with them saying, hey, it would be incredible if we managed to do 30 days. And that's the same time I felt, okay, if I did 30 days, I could offer this to my Gurudev, because it would have been his birth anniversary right towards the end of my 30 days. And it would also be incredible to try and get my parano done, to the breaking of my fast at his hands. So I never wrote to him telling him about any of this. I kind of just decided to take each day as it comes and go for it. Fast forward a couple of days, day 14 to 15 was actually my sister's engagement, and I was supposed to be dancing, and I also compared that evening. Fast forward to day 18, and that was the day I properly struggled. I would probably say that's the day that stuck out in terms of it really tested my willpower, tested my endurance. And throughout this entire journey, with the time difference in terms of flying and everything, I was occasionally up at 3 a.m. in the morning. I couldn't really, I couldn't really drink water at that point in time, and then kind of go forward from that point to have wait around till 7 a.m., then have water, make sure it's boiled, etc. But it all worked out beautifully, and throughout the whole journey, anytime I needed to draw any sort of inspiration, any sort of energy, I kept repeating to myself, I'm a soul, and I need to play my role perfectly, and just remembering my Gurudev. And that really inspired me, really gave me a lot of energy, and it wasn't like I was tired. I worked up until day 23. I then ended up flying to India and actually doing my parano at his hands, which was beautiful, an experience that I'd love to share another time with you guys or on my own. But it was a question of willpower, mind over matter, and really just repeating this chant of I am a soul and I need to play my role perfectly. That really got me through this difficult time. The recovery period after the 30 days was also a challenge on its own. Obviously, I have to be careful. You can't suddenly start eating after not eating for 30 days. You also don't tend to feel very hungry after not eating for 30 days. You get full quite quickly. You lose all your sense of spice, so you have to kind of redevelop it. It's a very interesting experience. It's very different for the body, very different for the mind. I felt a lot calmer throughout the whole process. And yeah, that's my pre-flight checks complete. So I will be handing over to Malini. Thank you so much for listening to my journey. And she'll be sharing her experience. Thank you.
I pay reverence to Bhagwan, Adeshwar Bhagwan. Vandami Naman Swami, Samniji. I pay reverence to my Gurudev, Guru Hemprabha Acharya Surisar Mahal Sahib, and Jai Jinendra, and pranam to everyone, every soul present here. My experience has been, I'll start off with a little bit going backwards to where I come from. I come from Kenya and lived in a small town where born as a named Jain, Shah, but not having the understanding of Jainism as much as I do at the present moment. And living in a small town, we experienced lots of fasting in different ways. So, for example, I'd have our next door neighbors who were Muslims, and they were celebrating Ramadan, and they would invite us for their breaking their fast or celebrating Eid. We would have friends who do fasting as Lent for Christians and Jews. My favorite one was Navratri in the Hindu Dharma, where they do Ferrari or they do Ekashon. And the favorite was because I loved dancing, and that was the element of it. So that experience of fasting came from there, but I didn't fast for any of them, or I didn't fast for any reasons for that. And then slowly moved into the city to study and came to the UK, where I got more exposed to Jain Dharma as Shailen Bharat explained, young Jains and the Oshawa UK. Also with some workshops with Samnijis, I believe, I've had. And slowly developed. And I think my turning point, or my big change, or my switch bulb point came when my brother decided He wants to do extreme fast, which you can only do in India. It's called a Updantap. You live with monks and nuns, or you live as them, obviously with some limitations. We're not taking those extreme vows for life. Jao jivan nathi pachkan lido ji. And then I was like, okay, fine. I'm not that much keen, but let's see. Yeah, if obviously you have the opportunity, as Varun explained. If it's not suitable for your body, so you give up. It's not like when you start, you have committed to it. So did the Updantap, where we spent a lot of time with Gurudev. Initially, before that, we didn't know him, or we met him socially, briefly. And he was so kind enough from his busy schedule to give us at least half an hour per day answering all these questions we'd have. And then since then, fasting and Jain Dharma progressed, came back to the UK, started living a normal life, but making sure that what we've experienced in that 48 days would last for us for as till life lets us. And then during this, so that's me, my story as such, and now I'm here. And during the fast, before doing Varshitab, obviously I've done a Thai, Agyar Upvas, Sor Upvas, Vardaman Tapni Ori. So, there's a long list. I would not want to go over, but today I'm here talking about Varshitab. Varshitab is celebrated, basically, as Samniji explained, that it's for Adinath Bhagwan had, not accidentally, but he didn't have a choice, but he had to fast for those 40 days because he wasn't getting the appropriate gochri or tools to break the fast. And you've obviously we are not that elevated as Bhagwan. So instead of doing the 400 days of fast, we would do 1 day fast. So you'd only have boiled water, and the next day, some people do ekashno. I did biashno. I've heard even in the past people have done ambel for breaking their fast on that day, Parno Divas. But it's just inspirational to hearing about those people. So when I did decide to do this fast, obviously I tested myself. I tried to do about a month with doing biashno and upvas, just to see if my body would cope with it. And obviously when I did start at the Varshitab, I did remind myself that if I, like Varun, if I am endangered of putting anyone at risk, working in a GP, making a medical mistake, not as much as Amit Bhai, but obviously we have some responsibilities. Even if my family, if my parents need me, and so, all those applied, that if I'm needed, if my body is needed somewhere, or my mind is needed somewhere, and I can't continue, I would stop. My inspiration has been lots of people, my aunt, Champa Ben, lots of other people who've come through doing the Varshitab. Not even Varshitab, just small taps, like doing an upvas, and you see that glow and that energy coming out from that person, just doing even one tap or mask kamar, or just look at their faces and their vibes and their vibration is just amazing. And you want to be, obviously in the younger group, you want to look as good as the film star or as a celebrity. So that was my inspiration. I wanted to look as good as them, as glowy as them, and as energetic as them. Obviously, there are lots of people who've helped me through the journey. Most importantly, my family, my mum, my personal chef, who cooked amazing food, and I invite everyone to come home and have her amazing food. And then I had my personal chauffeur. My dad used to drive me and drop me and collect me from work. So I was literally a princess doing a fast. I had all the, I didn't have to do anything. Even sometimes, I love cooking, so I'm tempted to go to the kitchen. No, we'll do it. Sometimes I felt, look, it's a lovely day, let's walk. No, you don't need to walk. You'll be dropped to work. So those were the inspirations and helps and the guide. And Gurudev, all the way through, I used to check in with him, send him messages saying how I'm doing. Just even his simple shabd by saying Dharmalab was just inspirational. And while you're fasting, you get these times, like you got a lot of time and anyway, I did because I didn't have to lift a finger, so you get time. And then I thought that the best way of using this time would be to spend it more by doing aradhana. I mean, this is a Baya tap I was doing by not having any food, but I've also said it should be balanced with Abhyantar tap, doing svadhyay, meditation, also reflecting on the virtues and the qualities of Bhagwan. And that energized me as well, so it worked both ways. Food choices. Initially, you're like, oh, when I break my fast, I'll have, laddu or all the good things I want to have. But then eventually you learn through practice that when I break my fast, I want to have something which is going to be well-balanced and nutritious to my body so that I can sustain for another 48 hours or so long. And taste buds, obviously, as Varun explained, that you're not that much interested in what is tasty, but you're more interested in what is nutritious for your body. As Samniji said, that today's Akshaya Tritiya, and it's exactly a year since I broke my fast. I reflected it on this morning, and I celebrated with Gurudev as Varun had his. And personally, I didn't want that celebration, but obviously my parents wanted to show the pompous and the greatness of their lovely daughter having such an achievement. So we went along, broke the fast with Gurudev. First of all, put the Sheri Noros in his gotri and got his blessings. There were two nuns younger than me who did Varshitab. There was a Shravika, a lady who broke a fast with me as well. And another Shravak, a gentleman who broke his fast. But I believe this was his 6th Varshitab, so it was amazing seeing him. And in these big celebrations, I used to see him helping out in the kitchen, making sure no one wastes food, doing the runs, basically. And they were inspiration, and that breaking the fast was a big celebration for everyone else, but I felt I don't like being in the limelight. I don't want to be fussed over. Let's just break the fast and move on to the to normal life. But it's sansar. You have to, and someone did say that. Yeah, you have to inspire other people. So okay, fine. I can talk to them, but I don't need to be dressed up in the best dress and inspire them that way. And finally, any fast, whoever experiences it, you'll notice that your mind, you stop listening to your mind, and you stop listening to your body. Not stop, but you limitate their conversation, and you go closer to your soul. You start listening to your soul. You start understanding them. Obviously, I haven't gone to the Samyak Drashti element, but you hear tiny voices behind you, saying you can do it, and reminding you that it's not Malini doing this fast, it's Malini's soul doing this fast. Jai Nanda.
Thank you so much. You've just been on a journey into fasting, a journey into self-realization. There were a couple of little omissions that have been made. For example, Varun, on his last day, had to go and meet his guru to break his fast. And he's forgotten to tell you that because the lift on the ground floor was so busy with guests, he ran up 8 flights of stairs and didn't think anything. He's even forgotten. And his guru even said, don't do that again. And it took him almost 12 months to bring back his weight. One of the things that Malini hasn't had a chance to tell you is that she would use the extra time to visualize all the projects that her Gurudev was doing and put positive energy onto those. And while she was working at the practice, I asked her, did you listen more deeply to the triage calls that came because the pandemic had arrived just a few months after she started? And she said, oh, that's really interesting. Yes, I could hear when somebody was unwell in their voice, except for the mothers, because they were always so worried when their child was unwell, I couldn't tell. But the connection she would make to people during that enlightened state, that heightened state, that is the step that I want you to think about. All of us can access this incredible getting in the zone moment easily through just delayed gratification, understanding the distinction, the detachment between desires that are physical versus your decision-making, your autonomy, your soul that dictates that energy comes from just seeing the sunrise outside the plane. Energy comes from that few drops of water because you've decided. The energy comes from the smile of your mother who's made your favorite food. So those are the little pieces of magic, and we're now going to hand it to you to say, how did you feel during that journey? Give some commentary, give some questions. Think about how will you empower yourself to become that Jane. Thank you. Over to the audience. Don't be shy.
Yeah, okay. Any other questions? Please raise your hand so I know where to go next.
Thank you very much for panel for doing great job. I'm Kirit Gosalia, and I can relate to Varun's experience because in 90s, when I was so many summers back, I was a young kid, I had done 30 days of fasting, and that was an amazing, amazing journey. And also in those years, I used to run marathons. So it was marathon and fasting probably both go together probably. It was, I took off complete 1 month from my practice, medical practice, and stayed at home and stayed in our guest house. That was a complete vow of silence for 30 days. And I used to work reading, writing, meditating, concentrating, almost about 18 hours a day and not getting tired. So this is that, it gives that kind of energy from within. My question is to Samni ji and everybody else, yes, I did all those things, but fasting is working with the body not to give food. How does that help to soul, which is, we are talking pure soul over here, and this is the ending of the pure soul conference, 3 days of meeting, in which we are just talking about fasting, but how will the soul benefit from not giving food to the body? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kirit Bhai. It is really important question. Otherwise, if we do fasting without understanding, that is not making that much effect on our purification. So if someone is doing fasting, it means heating the karma body. And karma body, how we can heat? Suppose your outer body, I would like to give you an analogy. Suppose if you want to heat the inner water, you put on the gas and then try to heat. So the water is heated or something inside cooked. Similarly, when we do fasting, our outer body is working like a utensil or container. And then the heat created, if you noticed, during the fasting, our body is getting bit more temperature and bit more energy, as you already mentioned. So that is not only physical body's energy, it is the energy which is coming through the soul from the karmic layer, from the Adhyavasai, and then coming towards our Lesha and actually working on the material body, physical body. So it is a kind of a model inside out or outside in. Both sides we can affect our body, because karma in a subtle layer. Karma is a layer which is covering, not as mixed. Sometimes people says the karma and atma are mixed. No. If they mixed, then how you can separate? So they are not mixed. They are the outer layer of the soul. And in this way, when the outer body heated, your inner karmic body releases. This is my understanding.
Varun, why don't you talk about the energy that you've gained?
So Dr. Amit has just said that I should talk about the energy that I gained. But yeah, so I would say just repeating that mantra that I had actually gave me a lot of energy. I drew energy from things like the sun. I felt like I was drawing energy from things like the Nokar mantra and repeating that, from just drinking water and sitting down and taking time with myself. But in order to answer your question a little bit from what Shamniji said, which is very beautifully put, the way I see it is twofold. Number one is obviously you have karma, which is kind of attached to your soul, but it's not within your soul. Your soul is still different. So you have a glass of water, and as my Gurudeva said, if there's mud or dirt in that water, the water is still clear. It's just it looks dirty because of that dirt. You can take that dirt out, and that water will still be pure. So they're two separate entities. It just doesn't look like that when you're looking at a glass of water because you see the dirt mixed into it. And that's how karma is with our soul. In terms of why fasting helps, there's two folds. So one is when you are fasting, you are also attracting positive karmas if you're not doing the fast for this right reason. So if you don't have a deep understanding of the fasting, you're still doing a good deed. So it's still going to give you good karma in return. I think our eventual goal in terms of Jainism is to get rid of all karmas. That includes good and bad. That's when you have that pure water. So number one, you are still benefiting by getting good karmas, which will eventually, later in that life or in other lives, benefit you in some way by giving you maybe more dharma in the future, maybe giving you better surroundings, so you're able to progress on that dharmic path, on that spiritual path to get moksha eventually. The other is, if you have that deep understanding of why you're doing the fast and everything else, you'll also be doing, as Shamniji put, nirjara, where you're then getting removed the fast. Please correct me if I'm wrong, Shamniji. But then you're also doing that nirjara of those karmas, which is then helping you get to that eventual goal where you have no karmas attached to your soul, and hence you'll be liberated.
Yes, so I'm just going to let Kirtipai.
I think we're running short on time, aren't we, Shailen? Yeah, so we'll start wrapping it up soon.
You know, when we talk karma, there are 5 reasons for karma bondage that Tattva Sutra says. Mithyatva aviriti pramat kasha yog. And yog means mind, speech, and body. And body, when we are not giving food to the body, that's the last part out of karma bondage. The very first is mithyatva, wrong belief, wrong belief, wrong belief. Out of 100%, 99.9% of the karma bondage occurs because of mithyatva. So if mithyatva is not gone, it doesn't make difference how much I do all those bodily activity, not giving food. In fact, these snakes and squirrels in fall time, they go hibernation. They go underground. For 6 months, they don't eat or they don't drink. We don't celebrate them when they come out in springtime. So not giving food to the body doesn't mean anything. Mithyatva is the first one that we have to attack. And of course, when you're not getting food, and if you have more time to reflect upon them, that's a real thing. I had one family saying that they were doing 30, his wife did 30 days of fasting, and he had an ambulance at his house 24 hours standing in case my wife becomes sick. Wait, are you doing that one for getting the CV on your thing that I did 30 days of upvas? So that's what my point is. Thank you.
Very true.
Thank you, Kirti Bhai.
Without reflection or without understanding of the whole process of karma annihilation, so the biggest cause in a perspective mithyatva, je samkit bin mein charitra nikiriya re bar anant kari. Infinite times, if you do these fastings and these sadhupan and all these things, they are not meaning anything else. So, this right perspective, even in our journey, if our train is or our plane is on the not right track, it means we are not reaching there. Am I right, Malini? Okay.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much to all of our panelists, to our questions. And just to say, as a wrap up to the session, it was pointed out earlier that there are 12 types of tap. So there are 6 baya tap, all to do with austerities and fasting. And they actually give us that time and capacity for the abhyantar tap, which hopefully we use in terms of swadhyaya, etc., to deal with exactly what Kirti Bhai said, that mithyatva, that delusion that I am the body. That's the delusion that we need to deal with. And we can use the bhayantar tap in order to do the abhyantar tap, to get rid of that delusion and to realize the pure soul, which is the whole focus of this exhibition and has been much of the focus of the Jainism Inside Out events over the 3 days that we've had. So thank you very much to all of our panelists and our chair for facilitating this conversation. Thank you.